Peace, quickly. Think fast. Everything is a balance, you know. And speaking on, quote unquote teaching, I realize, like, I think about, dealing with this information. You want to make sure that, as much as possible, you want to reference, books and literature that will, help people to really, go and get this insight for themselves instead of sitting there and, listening to what you have to say about it. You want to allow people to go research and read so they could get their own, connection with that literature. But, just like with anything, it's a balance. Because I thought about, like, my parents raising me, and of course, I had to come down here in these times when the information wasn't all up front, but, like my mama and dad, for better or the worse, though, they taught me a lot of things that helped me, grow to this day. But they weren't constantly, referencing books like, hey, Kari, I'm telling you do this because this book, chapter 3 in this book, talk about how kids should do this. So the reason why I'm telling you to do this is because of that. Or, hey, you can't go ride your bike because in this book, I read that this and that, that. You know what I'm saying? Like, as much as we do want to make sure we have references from literature, it's not just about that, Same thing I think about, like, Tupac or Michael Jackson. They didn't sit down with a classroom full of students teaching, but I'd be damned if I can't learn no lessons from Tupac and Michael Jackson, whether it's their words or their life, So when we go to talking about, teaching, there's different levels of being a teacher, Because I think of me and my own path, like, I'm more of a wisdom teacher. And the fact, too, that when you look at it, of course you want to have references, but it's like, at what point do I become the person that writes a book? Because here it is, we listen to somebody who listened to somebody who listened to somebody in the first place, Like, I read this so-and-so book. I write that book. Who that person, got that information from, who wrote that book, or from another book, well, who that person got that information from. And at some point, though, you realize, well, shit, some people had their own little inner insights about information, and then they wrote these books. So here it is, like, we referencing these books as if we can't come up with our own information. When I say come up with our own information, I don't mean making up no shit. I mean tapping into higher self, and higher self letting you know some real shit that's going on, without having to, without having to read a book, in essence. Like, I didn't need no book to tell me that confession was some bullshit in church and that I'm always talking to God. Like, I didn't need no book to tell me that, I ain't need no book to tell me it's very important to connect with the kids because the kids are the future, Like, to make sure that what I'm doing now is, gonna help influence even the years after, after I transition. I didn't need no book for that. There's a certain level of wisdom that some of us, some of us deal with. But again, like, when we talk about teaching, it's not just, like I say, for instance, and it could be on the opposite side. You got people who's considered teachers. I'm not knocking nobody who's, but the reality of the situation. You got people who are teachers in the school system, but they really are not teaching nobody shit. Of course they teaching some, of course, a mathematics class and certain classes, yeah. But for the most part, they, in essence, almost like promoting a control system instead of, like, actually teaching. Like, educating somebody to a certain system instead of giving them a certain level of enlightenment. But again, still, in some way, form, or fashion, some information is helpful. So I'm not making it seem like, nothing they say. But for the most part, again, they're considered teachers. And if you had to like weigh it on a scale of like, all right, who's really got the information that's teaching somebody, or somebody like a Bobby Hemmitt, Phil Valentine, or teachers in the classroom, you know what I'm saying? But again, it's so many levels of teaching, and all of us not gonna follow one blueprint on how to teach. Just like with being a shaman, like a comedian to a certain extent is a shaman, helping heal people through laughter. You know, a musician, it's like a shaman helping heal people through vibrations of the music, you know? So it's not necessarily just somebody who live in the woods and take ayahuasca, you know? Like we have these like these archetypical viewpoints of how something should be, and it should only be like that way, you know? Like they got people who extremely powerful magicians and look like they're a school teacher, you know what I'm saying? And you wouldn't be able to tell, you know what I'm saying? Because again, it doesn't, you know, have a certain look in essence, you know? With the teaching vibes, again, you don't have to have a classroom full of people. You don't have to have a YouTube channel. You don't have to have children, you know, to be able to, you know, teach somebody something. You know, allow somebody to learn from you. But looking at this river, river getting up there. Just wanted to share that, because matter of fact, it was funny, I was gonna do a video something like this yesterday, but then I thought that I was like trying to push the issue, so I'm like, all right, no, maybe it's not meant for me to kind of speak on. I thought maybe that was like my ego trying to, because in some cases, like I realized like my ego would try to not say my ego would try to, but like that aspect of me trying to justify another reason. So say for instance, like at certain parts of my growth where I was, you know, feeling like, you know, I should tap more into the intuitive side, but it's like always realizing to keep that logical connection. But, you know, I had this vibe almost like fuck books to a certain extent, you know? And like, so say for instance, I be having to make sure that it's not my ego just trying to, you know, hold on to some position, and it's some real, you know, some real sauce and information, some real drip drop that I'm speaking on, and not some shit that my ego just trying to make a point about. You feel me? You know, but in fact, damn, it's getting hot like a fuck. Whew. But that's basically it, y'all. Happy now. Remember, teaching is not just one, you know, it doesn't look the same, you know, as far as like, you know, the setup of it. You know, teaching could be from just living your life, you know, by you teaching people, by being, again, being the change you want to see. You know, living by example. People could learn from just viewing your life. You don't have to be, you know, in front of classrooms and stuff like that. Like Bob Marley taught me so much. Bob Marley didn't have no classes. You know, Bob Marley wouldn't, like, you know, take my little spiritual class, sign up. But yet he was still a teacher nonetheless. But as I'm saying that, of course, there is the aspect of, you know, again, taking teaching to that level, as far as having a classroom or, you know, teaching to quote unquote students. But, you know, just always realize with that situation that, you know, it's not just one way to do it, you know. how they say it, it's more than one way to skin a cat, but we're not trying to skin no cats. We love the cats. But that's basically it, y'all. Peace. Happy now. Now's the vibrate, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the future.